Comparing numbers using your place value chart is going to be rather simple as long as you can do the following two things. If you can fill in your place value chart correctly and tell me which one is greater, 5 or 7. If you can do both of those two things, I assure you, using your place value chart to compare numbers will be super simple. So regarding the question which is greater, 5 or 7, we know that 7 is indeed greater than 5. But what does that look like inside your place value chart? So we know 5 is less than 7, but let's put both of these numbers in our place value chart first. So we're going to separate them. And we always try to fill our place value chart from the right. That will help us eliminate any potential mess ups from filling it in too early. If you fill it in starting from your ones, then there's a better chance of you making sure you only fill in what you need. We only have one number here, so it's just going to be in this one part here. But we put both of them there, just like this, one on top of the other. So place value charts tell you a little bit more about your number at a glance. 1, it tells you whether a place value exists within your number, and 2, if it does exist, it tells you how many you have within that certain category. So when you look at this place value chart, we have hundreds, tens, and ones. However, the numbers that we've thrown into this do not have place values within the hundreds or the tens. We're only looking at the ones, but we know what this means. We know that this says we have 5 ones, and this says we have 7 ones. So if we're comparing the two, which one of these has more ones? Well, 7 has more ones than 5. Thus, we would say 7 is greater than 5 or 5 is less than 7, which we already knew. But this is how you're going to be using your place value charts to tell. That means we're going to be comparing both of our numbers on their place value columns in order to tell which one is going to be bigger. So let's look at another example in which we have bigger numbers, and let's see how does this work when we have numbers within the thousands. So in this example, we want to know which one of the two numbers is going to be bigger. Is it going to be 57,281 or is it going to be 6,994? Now you may be able to look at this at a glance and say, yes, I already know which one's going to be bigger, Courtney. However, let's use our place value chart to see by the place value basis which one is going to be indeed bigger. And if we're filling in this place value chart, we have to start once again from the ones on the right. So we're going to fill in this. We have 1 there, we have an 8 there, we have a 2 here, a 7, and a 5. So you see, we don't go up here. You may accidentally fill this in if you start from the left. We're going to start from the right. And we're going to do the same thing for 6,994. You have a 4, 9, 9, and a 6. So now you want to compare numbers by looking at what's in the place value columns. However, we said there's nothing in the 100,000 column, so we don't have to look at that one. We do have something in the 10,000 column. However, this is only true for one of the numbers. What does this mean? Can we compare this? Should we move on to our 1,000? No, you don't have to move on to the 1,000. As long as you have one number in a place value, you can use that to compare. You can essentially say there are 0 of the other number here. Now, you don't necessarily write a number like this with a 0 up front with nothing else in front of it like this. However, when you're in the place value chart, you can do this. Now you're going to be comparing 5 to 0. We have 5 10,000s or we have 0 10,000s. Which one is going to be bigger? The 5 10,000s is going to be bigger than the 0 10,000s. That means our top number is going to be bigger than our bottom number. Whenever you run into that very first column that there's a difference, you should be able to tell what is going to be the bigger number and what is going to be the smaller number. So we said that 57,281 is going to be greater than 6,994. But let's look at another example with two numbers that have the same amount of place value entries. In this example, we have two numbers that are fairly big. Our first one is 347,198. Our second number is 347,189. We want to know which one of these is bigger. So let's put them both into our place value chart and start comparing our place values. Remember, start from the right. Even if you can fit everything in at once, start from the right. It's great practice. So for this one, we have 8, 9, 1, 7, 4, 3. And for this one, we have 9, 8, 1, 7, 4, 3. So now that we have both of our numbers written out in our place value chart, let's start comparing our place values. And we're going to start with 100,000, our biggest one on our chart. Now we want to do this because we want to see very quickly which number is going to be bigger. So we have to start at the highest and go towards the lowest, because the very first place that they're different, we'll be able to know which one is indeed bigger. So looking at 100,000, we see our top number has 300,000s and our bottom number also has 300,000s. That means we don't know just from looking at this column alone. However, we have more columns we can look at. So let's keep going down the line. How about 10,000? Well, they both seem to have 4 10,000s. Let's not stop there. Let's keep going. How about thousands? They both have 7 thousands. Once again, let's keep going. Hundreds. They both have 100. You still can't tell them apart at this point in time. Let's keep going. Tens. Are they both the same? No. Now we'll be able to tell which one is indeed bigger. Although they were the same for all of these place values, we now found one that they're not the same. So which one is bigger? 9 tens or 8 tens? 9 tens is going to be bigger than 8 tens. That means our top number is going to be bigger than our bottom number. It doesn't matter what comes after this tens here. You see, although ones has more ones for our bottom, we have more tens for our top. So our top one is going to be greater than our bottom one. Now there can be some times in which you'll go through all the place values and you won't find any difference. That's perfectly okay. That just means that both of the numbers are in fact equal. However, if there is a difference, you better tell which one's bigger by comparing that place value. So let's look at one more example, because you don't have to actually stop at just comparing two numbers. You can have more numbers than just this when you're comparing using your place value charts. So in this last example, we have 3 numbers that we're comparing and we want to rank them from smallest to biggest. 1 being the smallest, 3 being the biggest. So we're going to give these a ranking. However, we're going to do that using our place value chart. So the first thing we want to do is put all of these numbers within the place value chart. Starting on the right, we'll do our first one. We have 6, 9, 2, 3, 4. Let's move on to this one. We have 7, 0, 4, 5, 8, 2. And this one, we have 1, 1, 3, 9, 4. So now we've placed everything here. Let's start comparing our numbers using our place value columns. Once again, we want to start at the highest one. And you see that we have a number here. That means we can either fill in these for 0 for everything else, or just say that the one that has the number there is going to be our largest number. So this middle one is going to be the biggest, and we're going from smallest to biggest. So 3 is going to be given to our biggest number. So that's going to be this. This is our biggest number. So now let's continue on and compare our last 2 numbers. We have 10,000s. We're no longer looking at the middle one because we already said this is going to be our biggest number. But we have to compare the first and our last. And you see that they both have 4 10,000s. So we can't do anything there. How about thousands? Well, now we have some difference here, right? Our top one says we have 3,000s and our bottom one says we have 9,000s. Well, which one's going to be bigger? 9,000s is going to be bigger, right? So that means our last number is going to be the second biggest. So that's going to get a 2, which makes our first one our smallest number. So if we're ranking these from smallest to biggest, 1 being the smallest, 3 being the biggest, A, our first number is going to be smallest, followed by C, our second number, and B, our third number. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something today. And if you did, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button. See you again next week.